out of the games that I've played in the past, BioWare games are the ones that really delve into their characters. I'm sure there are other games out there that I haven't played that probably do the same thing, but these are my favorite, Mass Effect and Dragon Age. Dragon Age does pretty much the same thing as well. Dragon Age Origins more than Dragon Age 2. Which is one of the reasons why I love Mass Effect, and then Dragon Age Origins, and then Mass Effect 2. And the reason is because Dragon Age Origins it's a little more character driven than Mass Effect 2. And that's what really attracts me to a game, is that character driven storyline. It just really makes the experience so personal. And that's why I like Mass Effect 1 more. And I mean, you could argue that Mass Effect 2 has a lot of that as well, and it does. I'm not saying it doesn't. It does. I mean, that's where you get freaking dark Garrus. But I mean, with the characters that they introduce, like Miranda, Jacob, Thane, you know, the new characters in Mass Effect 2, exclusive to Mass Effect 2. I didn't feel the same way. I'm not a big fan of Jacob. Jacob is kind of creepy. I don't like Jacob. Miranda, she's alright. I'm not a big fan of Miranda. I mean, she's not very, I don't know. I mean, maybe the same thing that happened with Mass Effect and Mass Effect 2, where I'm talking about like Tali, maybe that's going to happen with Mass Effect 3, because they are all going to return. So maybe they're gonna mature just as all the other characters that returned to Mass Effect 2. Maybe that's going to happen with those characters. Maybe they're going to be a little more developed. Jacob might be a little more developed. He might have something to him where you're just like, whoa, like that's a different Jacob. Or Miranda, the same thing, where you're just like, oh my gosh, there's so much more to Miranda now. You know, like maybe that's how it goes with these characters. Like, you need to establish this time frame with them to evolve and see and appreciate them as the characters that they are, and not just what you saw in this one game or in this one situation, in this one experience. So I think I have hopes for all Mass Effect characters, even the ones in Mass Effect 2 that I didn't really like Jacob, Miranda. Another thing that I love about Mass Effect 1 is the gameplay. It's a lot more of an RPG than Mass Effect 2 was. There's more customization, there's more character, there's more freedom to the gamer. And I like that. I don't like classic RPGs where it's just like boom, straight up RPG. It's just like turn-based combat, and I don't like that. It kind of like, it's just really awkward for me. So I like this, like enough RPG to make it character driven, or to make it storyline driven, and it gives you a lot of freedom. But at the same time, I like that shooter aspect to it, but like very minimal with how they did Mass Effect 1. And Mass Effect 2 is more, I think it was more shooter heavy than RPG. They kind of made it, Mass Effect 2 was made to be more practical. They kind of did the same thing with Dragon Age 2 as well. They made it more practical. They kind of geared a little bit away from the RPG, at least in the customization, part to it. And I think they did that to appeal to a larger audience, just because not all people like to spend so much time customizing your armor, customizing your character, you know, that type of stuff, because that's what Mass Effect 1 had. It had being able to customize your armor, and you had to like actually sit there and like write these things down, and I had notes where I was just like, okay, wait, which armor is better? You know, you had to look through shops to see which armor was better, and each armor did something different and it looked different, and you got to have upgrades, armor upgrades, and each upgrade would benefit each character differently depending on the class of the character. And you had to get different types of armor, like light armor, medium armor, heavy armor, for different types. Like, say, an adept had light armor. I was an infiltrator. I had medium armor. A soldier like Ashley would have heavy armor. And it's just a lot of stuff that you had to think about, where you're just like, okay, I'm going to be taking this person and this person on this mission. Okay, I need this for them, and I need this for them. It did take a long time, and sometimes I was just like, like it was frustrating. But I missed that, especially after playing Mass Effect 2. I really missed it. I was like, man, it just really made it perfect to have that much freedom. It was just very, like this, it was almost realistic, where you're thinking about how to prepare for a battle and what to use. You know, like also the different like the different ammos, different weapon upgrades, where if you, depending on the enemy that you were going to be fighting, you would take this specific weapon upgrade. Like, say, if you were like some ammo, some types of ammo, they're best for synthetics, or some were better for organics, and you're like, okay, well, I'm pretty much going to be fighting all organics in this mission, so I'm going to take these and not the ones that are for synthetics. So it's a lot of freedom when it came to that. And Mass Effect 2 didn't have that, and I missed it. Even though I was kind of frustrated with it after a while with this, I missed it. And I'm so glad that they're bringing it back for Mass Effect 3. I'm kind of curious to see how much of it they're going to bring back. But I've been hearing that it plays a lot more like Mass Effect 1. And out of the demo, I'm not basing too much of my judgment from the demo, just because it was just a little piece. But it does feel a lot more like Mass Effect 1. Another thing that I love about this game, that was missing completely from Mass Effect 2, was that feeling of this mysteriousness out in space. Just having that exploration on each planet, with the Mako and all that, that was so cool. I mean, I granted it did get very, very frustrating sometimes. The Mako wasn't the best vehicle. I mean, it did have a lot of problems, but I thought it did its job. I never really thought I never thought to myself, the Mako sucks. I was just like, oh my god, this thing could get on my nerves. But it was so much better than the Hammerhead. In my opinion, I loved the Mako compared to the Hammerhead. The Hammerhead is so annoying. It has no shields whatsoever, and I don't like it. I loved the Mako. And just being able to drive, just that noise, like, that's all you would hear on the planet. It was like completely silent sometimes. And you would just hear the Mako, and it just felt so real. Like, it's so awesome. Like, I miss that so much, because you lost that feeling of being in space. And this exploration feeling was completely just yanked out of Mass Effect 2, and I think they took it out just because a lot of people were complaining about the Mako and how it was kind of annoying to have to go do these side missions and all that. But I think the majority of the big fans of Mass Effect really liked that aspect of it, because it felt like it almost felt like you had that roaming freedom that you do in bigger RPG, like, say, like Fallout, the Bethesda RPGs, where you have that sandbox where you could roam around and just do whatever you want. It was kind of like that, like a limited version of it, because you could roam around this planet and, like, just, find these things, and all of a sudden a freaking Thresher Maw just pops out of nowhere, and you're just like, oh my god! I miss that. And I heard that they're going to be bringing more exploration back to Mass Effect 3, but I don't think it's going to be the way that it was in Mass Effect 1, just because it really wouldn't make sense anymore. It wouldn't make sense for Shepard to be freaking roaming around this planet looking for, looking for some base that was taken over by the Geth or something like that, while freaking Earth is burning and the rest of the galaxy is going down, and he's just like driving the Mako. I mean, they might do a little bit of it if it's related to the big mission to the Reapers. Then yeah, I could see that coming back. But I don't think it's going to be at the level of freedom that it was in Mass Effect 1. Those are some things that I really loved about Mass Effect 1. Now, some things that I didn't really like about Mass Effect 1 were it was very glitchy. Not like huge glitches. Nowhere near big glitches where it's like you couldn't even finish a mission or something like that because of it. They're just glitches. A lot of them were on the Citadel. Like the glitches, so sometimes I'd walk into this room and there would be all you would see were like legs coming out from the ceiling, and you're just like there was a Turian stuck between level 1 and level 2, like upstairs. His head was like, half of him was upstairs and the other half was hanging in the ceiling on the lower level, and you're just like, oh, okay. Or sometimes you just see a head, like someone like was stuck down there, and it's like, oh my god. Like stupid glitches like that, but they would crack me up. I'd crack up. Or sometimes your party member would be floating in the air, they're just like walking in the air, and they're just like, what? This, I hope they improved. There was still a little bit of it in Mass Effect 2. The glitches within the party members, where they would pretty much do whatever the hell they wanted to. During a battle, sometimes they'd just be standing like right back there in cover, and they'd just be like, and you're like, why the hell aren't they helping me? Like, why aren't they shooting? And they're just like, that pissed me off so much. And no matter how much I would like push the damn buttons on the D-pad to send them over there, they would go over there and they'd sit there too. And I know there's a button where you just say like, hold, like keep cover, stay in cover. It wasn't even that. It wasn't that. It was a glitch. And oh, that pissed me off so much. Or sometimes they just wouldn't move. Like you'd be walking and they'd just stay back there. They're supposed to follow you. They just stay back there. And you're just like, oh my god. And that's still kind of, those glitches still kind of carried through in Mass Effect 2. I did have a lot of those problems as well, but not as much as I did in Mass Effect 1. In Mass Effect 1, the weapons were more about heating up and not about thermal clips. Like having to reload. It was about having to wait till your gun got cool down, because it would heat up and it'd go and that noise is back for Mass Effect 3, but the thermal clips are back too. They just put that noise not because it heats up, but because it's out of ammo. It's almost like they tried to mix in a little bit of Mass Effect 1 with that, just by adding the noise. It kind of like made it feel kind of reminiscent, where you're just like, oh. I think those are the biggest things that I didn't like about Mass Effect 2, with those stupid little glitches. Everything else was just, I loved it. The story, I loved the story in Mass Effect 1. There was some scenes in Mass Effect 1 that just stick with me. They just stick. Like, it was just like, oh, so cool. The ending of Mass Effect 1 was absolutely epic. I love that ending. The fight against Sovereign, oh my god. That was so good. That was so good. I loved that ending. And it was so, adrenaline pumping. It was perfect. Other scenes that I remember was when Anderson was trying to help you towards the end. That was so cool, especially if he goes and punches out Udina. Oh my god, that's legendary. Video game legend right there. And even if he doesn't punch Udina, he just goes straight to trying to take off the locks on the Citadel or on the Normandy, and then he gets shot in the process. That was crazy too. I was like, oh my god. The scene with Vigil, that's one of my favorite scenes on Mass Effect ever, where you're talking to Vigil. Oh, jeez. I always stopped to think, and I was like, if they ever brought Vigil to Mass Effect 3. Now, I'm not talking spoilers here, but I really wanted them to bring in Vigil somehow to Mass Effect 3. But that wishful thinking. I loved his voice. He was so calming. It really made me love the Protheans because of Vigil. Because I was like, oh my god, this guy's so cool. That whole moment, especially when he's talking about how he was forced to reserve the energy and the pods that were holding all the Protheans in cryogenic stasis, like this, keeping them alive. They just started to, turn off, and they pretty much died. And it shows all the pods, and you're just like, it was a very emotional scene. That scene was awesome. I also really love the scene where Shepard is talking to Sovereign. The hologram of Sovereign. Oh, that was so good. There's so many great scenes. Oh my god, the part with Saren, where he's talking to Saren. The part on Virmire. The Virmire was freaking epic. Everything about Virmire. The scene with Kirrahe, the scene where you have to where Rex attacks you and you're just like, oh my god. That scene, the whole damn thing in Virmire was freaking good. And then you come in contact with Saren, and he's like talking to you, and he's telling you how you're wrong and how they're right. That was so good. And then you lose either Kaidan or Ashley there, and it was just like, oh.